I got a doll for my birthday. She looked just like me. Same brown hair, same blue dress I wore. Mommy said she found her at an old shop and knew I'd love her. I named her Lily. Lily was fun at first. We had tea parties and I told her secrets. But then, weird things happened. I'd leave Lily on the chair but find her on my bed later. Maybe you forgot you moved her, Mommy said. But I knew I didn't. One night, I heard a noise, like tiny feet walking. I peeked from under my covers and saw Lily sitting on my desk. But her eyes were looking at me. It made my heart beat really fast. Next day, I put Lily in the closet. I didn't want to play with her. She made me feel strange. But when I came back from school, she was sitting on my bed again. Her smile looked different, bigger. I told Mommy, but she just laughed. Lily's just a doll, she said. Then, the scariest thing happened. It was night, and the moon was bright. I woke up feeling cold. I looked around and I wasn't in my bed. I was on the shelf where I keep my toys. And in my bed where I should have been was Lily. She was under my blanket, her eyes closed like she was sleeping. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I couldn't move. My arms and legs were stiff as wood. I looked down at my hands. They weren't my hands. They were doll hands, porcelain and shiny. I don't know how long I stayed there. The moon moved across the sky, and the room got darker. Then light peeked in. Morning. When Mommy came to wake me, she didn't see me on the shelf. She went to the bed. "Time to get up, sweetie," she said to Lily. Lily moved. She stretched and yawned, like she was really me. I wanted to cry, to tell Mommy it was me, on the shelf. But I couldn't. I was just a doll. Mommy left the room, and Lily got dressed in my clothes. She looked in the mirror and smiled. But her eyes were scary, not like mine. Now I sit on the shelf every day, watching Lily. She plays with my toys, eats my food, and hugs my mommy. Nobody knows I'm here, watching, waiting. I don't know if I'll ever be me again. And the scariest part, sometimes at night I see Lily looking at me, and her smile, it's not a nice smile. It's like she knows a secret, a scary, awful secret that only dolls know. Heather was at her friend Jenny's house one afternoon. It was just after school, and Jenny's parents hadn't arrived home from work yet. It was just the two of them, and they were engrossed in a board game. Heather was having a good time, except they were playing in a room adjacent to Jenny's parents' bedroom, and every now and then, Heather would glance up through the open door of that bedroom to see a little girl doll sitting up on the bed. Its eyes appeared to be staring at them. She tried to ignore it, but over time it started to get to her. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I can't concentrate. That doll on the bed over there is giving me the creeps." "Oh, no problem," Jenny replied. She went to the room and closed to the door to calm Heather down. Then the two friends resumed their game. It hadn't been long, however, before Heather glanced up again. The door was open once again, and again the doll appeared to be staring at them. Jenny couldn't understand it. She could swear that there was nobody else home, and that there was no way the door could have opened without the knob being turned. Shrugging, she went up to the bedroom and closed the door, this time making sure that it clicked shut. But again and again, they would check the door and find it wide open. Heather was starting to get very scared. Finally, Jenny had enough of this. She went into the bedroom, grabbed the doll and threw it into the closet, slamming it shut. She then slammed the bedroom door shut behind her, and they resumed their game. For a while, things appeared to be going well. But then Heather glanced up one last time. All of a sudden, she stood up and said goodbye and ran home as fast as she could. This time, when Jenny looked up, she saw the bedroom door only slightly ajar, with a chair propped up behind it. And sitting on the chair, peeking through the opening at them, was the doll. There was a family who went to the store. They had a little girl, Sophie, who loved dolls. As they were walking down the aisle, the little girl noticed a one-of-a-kind antique doll. Other families were eyeing it, so the little girl knew this was her only chance. She begged her parents to buy it for her, but they did not have a lot of money, so they had to say no. They then paid and left with the little groceries they could afford. As they walked outside, a man dressed in a brown hoodie and jeans called out for them. He had bought the doll for the little girl. She was grabbing the doll and ran away with it. 2 days later, the mom is tucking in Sophie. She leaves the room. The girl is sitting there when she hears a loud sound. She looks around and sees a shape crawling around her floor. She looks at the edge of the bed and sees the doll staring at her with a gaping smile. She screamed for her parents. By the time they came upstairs, the doll was back in place, but you could still see its head moving slightly. The next day, Sophie was at school. The mom had just came back from an errand. She had decided to check the doll for anything weird or creepy. She came into the room and grabbed the doll. She noticed how it was heavier than how it was at the store. When she looked in the dress, she smashed the doll and immediately went to the school. When she got there, her daughter was gone. They found her dead body a week later. The man who gave them the doll was a murderer. He had put a location tracker, camera, and machinery into the doll to make it move and find the little girl so he could kill her. The police ended up finding the guy. As they injected him on death row, he laughed and said, "Thank you for all the little kids." I've always been fascinated by the paranormal, especially haunted dolls. I've seen many videos and stories online about people who own them and experience strange things. I wanted to have one for myself, so I decided to look for one on eBay. I found a listing that caught my eye. It was a porcelain doll with blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a pink dress. The seller claimed that the doll was from the 1800s and that it was possessed by the spirit of a girl named Lucy, who died of tuberculosis. The seller said that the doll was very active and that it could move, talk, and even cause poltergeist activity. The seller also warned that the doll was not for the faint of heart and that it could be dangerous if provoked. I was intrigued by the description and decided to buy it. The price was only $50, which seemed like a bargain for such a rare item. I paid with my credit card and waited for the doll to arrive. A few days later, I received a package at my door. It was the doll. I opened it eagerly and took out the doll. It looked exactly like in the pictures, except that it had a crack on its forehead. I assumed that it was damaged during shipping, but I didn't mind. I thought it added to its charm. I placed the doll on a shelf in my living room and admired it. It looked so innocent and cute. I couldn't believe that it was haunted. I decided to name it Lucy, after its original owner. That night, I went to bed and fell asleep. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to a loud thud from downstairs. I got up and went to check what it was. As I walked down the stairs, I heard a faint giggle coming from the living room. I entered the living room and turned on the light. What I saw made me scream in terror. The doll was on the floor, surrounded by broken glass and books. It had fallen from the shelf and knocked over everything in its way. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that the doll had changed. Its eyes were no longer blue, but red. Its mouth was no longer closed, but open in a twisted grin. And its voice was no longer silent, but loud and clear. "Hello there," it said in a high-pitched voice. "Do you want to play with me?" I ran back to my bedroom and locked the door behind me. I grabbed my phone and called 911. I told them that someone had broken into my house and that they needed to come quickly. As I waited for help, I heard the doll banging on the door. "Let me in! Let me in! I want to play with you!" it shouted. I prayed that it would stop, but it didn't. It kept banging and banging until the door broke down. And then it came in.